again. Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The ISUPK, under Commanding General Yahana, presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026, in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person, ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General Yahana. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
Backstage.
I got it on the table.
I ain't finna tell y'all how I got away with this shit.
If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I ain't regular out. You's a regular out. Took that bitch back. She done fed you out. Look how you living out. You look scary out. Can't fuck that bitch right. Cause she be getting nailed out. You won't forgive her, ain't it? You wanna love her, don't you? Just know that love ain't for you. It's for the world, homie. I got some real homies. We don't pretend, homie. SUPK, 1 West, we kicking field goals. Let that bitch lead, ho. She got them D's, though. With a little steak and ass pussy, she be going beast mode. She HIV, ho. You dirty ass skeet, ho. Don't get that shit up out your chest, bitch. Say what you gonna do now, what you gonna say now, what you gonna do to me? It is UPK, I'm shot too deep, it's better Google me. I put these girls all in my training camp like I relieve. I say what I do and I do what I say, bitch, what the fuck you mean? If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I get paper, bro. Got my standards up. You a munchkin out. Catching these out. Check my favorite out. I'm a player out. These niggas top block. Took your lead out. You shouldn't be worried about these broke ass bitches. And don't compare yourself to simp ass niggas. Had to shine a lot of these disparate ass women. Cause they be tripping hard, acting like they different. But a bit be basic, bit be horn and bit be naked, drinking, faking, stanking, the shame is dirty, mouth bit be faking. I don't get too fucks about you, I wouldn't have put no baby in. Bit be saying they got that paper, look, they let me itch. Done caught the penalty, hit my energy, got me feeling me. Ice hitting on these diamond teeth, that's into me. And I'm getting right and I'm stacking up and I'm getting to it. And these niggas hate but they can't touch cause I'm bulletproof. If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a piece, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. Goddamn, love them age damn dick, she love, nigga. Ain't no taking nothing back. Cause I ain't regular out.
Backstage.
They said free the Palestinians, then celebrate the death of Native Indians. How these other races gon' take us serious? They don't. It's silly thinking you can fight oppression with a vote. I'm so woke, I got sleep deprivation. Belly of the beast giving birth to a nation. You know how I feel to have culture and they take it. It'll never be peace. Tell them free the reservation. Till it's backwards. They don't know that they exist no more. Ever try reaching out for help and you just get ignored? Pick up vices like drugs, your child fill a void. They get a youth life sentence for killing. He was just a boy. Niggas poor, what we living for? Life a gamble, it's like 10 or 4. Police hands around your neck, they just hit record. We in war, man, this ain't the norm. But you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know. Mama on the stage crying. She just lost her only son to gang violence. Pops level 4 yard talking through the fence. Have you ever tried to hug your loved ones through a fence? Have you ever been hated just because your skin? Have you ever worked all week and couldn't pay your rent? Life a trip to try and catch my balance. Every step feel like I'm walking backwards. Credit card, but God check the balance. I come from where it's rough, that's why my heart callous. They want you to fall weak, that's a war tactic. Look how we live, what's scary than that? What you know about crossing the Darien Gap? Risk your life to live in hell or bury your kids. Either way we gotta suffer and they just get rich. Life a bitch, why I waste time telling you that? Cause if you ain't a nigga like me, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know.
Good evening.
All right, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. We've been established and teaching the truth since 1969 under Commanding General Yohana. You understand? So this is the Monday Night History class. And of course, I titled the class about the New Year's slave. It's all after the New Year's or whatnot. And a lot of people now trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills and rent money due, so forth and so on, because they inject everything on December 31st going into January 1st. So, of course, the New Year's Day is, of course, this is our oppressors' New Year's. It's not what the earth called New Year's or what God calls New Year's. You understand? So this is what we're going to be dealing with because it's another holiday that people don't really know the origin, how it started, or what it meant towards Black people, so-called Black people, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, or the dark-skinned races over these here Americans on this side of the earth, or this side of the pond. So I'm going to go into a little bit of that, a little bit of history on that. I got a few videos I'm going to play, a couple of scriptures I'm going to bring out. But the main thing is we got to talk about being a New Year's slave. Like, at what point, like, how many times does you have to hear the same message? How many times do you have to how many times must the men of the Lord have to keep coming out here explaining the woes of America or the woes of the world? How many times must you hear the same message about don't do this, don't do that? You know, if you got like that small child and you say, hey, don't touch that eye, it's hot. The stove is hot. And they touch it anyways, when they get burnt, how much should I run and help? How much should I run to deal with them? Like at what point you have to let them experience that judgment? Now, we don't want our people to experience any more judgment. We as collective, as a race, we've been judged enough. We've been beat down to a powder. We've been pummeled. We should be able to now so we had enough of it. We tired of this beat down. We tired of this hell. When can you come back together and say, like, you know what? We know that the New Year's is in the dead of winter when nothing's growing and everything's too damn cold. It's not a new year, but why can't we come together with our own year? Why can't we come together to show what we can do by ourselves? You understand? So there's a time, which the time is now, but there's a time like when that small child who keep touching the hot stove will learn his lesson. The ones who don't are the ones who could be doomed. And if you ever heard these messages before about not celebrating New Year's, stay away from pagan holidays, like even if you don't believe in the Bible, right? What common sense person who understands like race loyalty? Yeah, a race loyalty. So you know what? I'm not going to celebrate these days. I'm going to let them have it. I'm going to find my own. When will you start to have race loyalty? When will you start to have a commitment to your forefathers, a commitment to your great grandparents? When will you start saying, for this cause, I will not do this for the sake and sanity of my kinsmen? None of us, not us in UPK, but like none of us collectively as a race have race loyalty. It's all about getting to the bag. It's all about getting litty. It's all about we outside tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have went outside any other night, but you had to choose New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day. You had to choose Christmas. You had to choose Thanksgiving. You understand? So, but that's what we're going to get into because us celebrating New Year's Day, our ancestors or forefathers, they dreaded New Year's Day, which I'm going to bring out an article and I'm going to play out a video just to show y'all what happens with these New Year's Day, how the slaves, which would be like our 4, 5, 6, 7 times great grandparents, hate it. You understand? Because like I said, they love what masters say, do. Absolutely. They always love what masters say. And you know what's crazy? Let me tell you how brainwashed we are as a race of people. Whatever master tells us to celebrate, we celebrate. Then on top of that, he'll find out the things that we would celebrate and find a way for him to make more money than us off of things he told us to celebrate, as it pertains to us. Y'all want an example? Juneteenth. That's one. He couldn't wait to capitalize off of Juneteenth for the slaves in Texas who got free, who found out it was free months later. Juneteenth is one of them. Now we start going to when June come back around. When you start seeing everybody going out, you're going to start seeing Caucasians on the posters for Juneteenth. Talking about come out and celebrate. Now, I'll let you buy some products. You can come spend your money. That'd be about it, but we ain't eating together. You come buy some soaps or whatever vendors we got at the time or whatever you're selling, let them buy some stuff. Let them come spend their dollars. Let them come put the Caucasian dollar into the Black family hands. And let us circulate that dollar amongst ourselves 4 or 5 times 5 before it goes back out. We got to do things like that. We got to have that type of mindset. It's crazy they put Juneteenth with Pride Month. That is crazy how they do that. And here's another one to add to that, Kalatazar, as it said in the comments. They also took away men's mental health awareness. Now, why is that something to say about that right now, since we're on the topic of that real quick? I forget the brother's name. I really just forgot the brother's name, but he was a Dallas Cowboy. He deleted himself. That's about mental health. That brother got help, but they don't want to talk about men's mental health and the society and what that pushes on men now without the proper strength to raise them up or to make them strong. We take fathers out their house and men's having living up the way women operate, it can make a man's psyche be damaged. It can make a man's mental health be fragile. It can make a man not understand when you're supposed to get counsel, when you're having these thoughts or when these demons latch onto you. You understand? So that's what you have to do. That's what we have to understand. Like these types of societies that who pushes their own agenda or pushes for like their own behavior, they never think about the other side. Now, I myself, I have two answers towards that. One can understand about mental health. I worked in that field. I deal with that field. So mental health is important. Like if you have a mental illness, you should go get evaluated. And if they prescribe you some medicine, you take the damn medicine. Let's just get rid of that demon. And once you're stable, you continue to take that medicine. Don't think that because you're stable now that you no longer need to take that medicine. No, if you're stable because of the medicine, continue to take it. Get counsel. A lot of people don't think about counseling or therapy. You know what I'm saying? You expressing like how it was when you grew up and whatever trauma you might have had. And this is the reason why you are. But like generally speaking, to make it sound more personal, a lot of us was molded in some type of affliction or some type of assault or some type of abuse under the umbrella of some type of trauma that molded us to the way we are today. And it don't have to be something bad that could have happened to you per se, or something as egregious like child PDF. Some things can happen with like you used to get picked on a lot, so you had to fight a lot, or your parents your parents was klepto. They was narcotics users, and they used to always take your money. So therefore, you always have to hide your money. That makes you always be so frivolous in the way you move with your money. All right, hold on. Khan, he says black men are supposed to be strong and push through whatever problems they have. Black men are strong, and we are going to push. However, and to add to that, not all black men have that same type of strength. You understand? And not all black men can handle certain types of problems. I give you just a few examples to add on to what Kalakazar is saying. Yeah, let's take two brothers. All right, let's take two type of brothers, right? Let's take we're gonna say you got two different guys, right? And both these guys, their wives cheated on them. One guy could not handle that problem that she gave him when she cheated on him, and he went and deleted her. That's one guy. That's brother A. That's brother Jerome. And then we got brother Mike. Mike just be like, I'm gonna keep it player. You took a whore off my hand. I'm gonna get me another woman. He was able to handle that problem and be cool. Just because brother Jerome couldn't handle it, that doesn't make him weak per se. You understand? It's just like basically what I'm saying is that they expect brothers to push through these problems, but they're not taking to the account that not all brothers are equipped to handle every problem. Some brothers need help. Some brothers need like a gang of help. Like they need several counseling, several therapy sessions, several medications, and several like amounts of brotherhood. But like, hey, this is not the way you're supposed to be. I'll give you an example real quick. I'm just pull an insight to myself. I had a rib that committed adultery. And it was based off, I had just a text message that was sent to me by someone else. And I was told that, sometimes some brothers can go off of what they see in the text because some of them can't handle what can happen in person. Some brothers can't handle that. Some brothers can see the woman commit adultery. Could you imagine if you had a woman and your woman's supposed to be at work, you dating some nurse. I heard that field cheats a lot. You dating some nurse, and you happen to go to the store because you off or whatever, or you're on your lunch break, and you see her with a guy sitting down at a table eating, and then you call her. She looks at the phone and puts the phone down. Could you imagine what you would do? Some guys will spaz out, run all the way over there and deal with her. You know, there's some guys who came home and saw the woman with another man. I've seen, like, just watch the episode of Cheaters. You're gonna see guys that either beat up the woman, or he might beat up the guy, or he might be like, "Hey, y'all both got to go." Now, the guy that faults the woman and the man, would you say he's weak? Because these are all problems. It just is some guys just aren't equipped to deal with these problems. And that right there in of itself doesn't necessarily make him weak just because he couldn't handle that problem. Some persons need help. And to be honest with you, for the ones that need help, you ought to be thankful that they're trying to get that help, because if they don't get the help, it's going to be deletion to you or deletion to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers is extremely weak over these broads, like a Will Smith. He should have been let that she devil alone. He should have been kicked up to the curb. Go ahead and get prepared to give her half your riches. Go ahead and get that on out the way till like, here's a cool little 100 million, and kick her to the curb and get rid of that shame. The way she's fantasizing about her love life with Tupac Shakur. You understand? So a lot of people just aren't equipped and haven't been built up. Because even in UPK, we brothers still deal with problems, but we building men up. Commander Junior Hunter is building men up to how to, if you wasn't strong enough, we're going to make you strong enough. Under, Commander Junior Hunter. There's a ton of counseling sections in therapy, and just being around men. A lot of us was not taught how to be men. The vast majority of us grew up with our mothers. The vast majority of us. You know what I'm saying? A rare of us grew up with our fathers, and even rare we grew up in two-parent households. So a lot of things you have to be taught. And no one really likes to talk about the education of what really matters. The education of how to deal with severe problems. Let's call it like that. Let's just say call it severe problems. No one really teaches you what to do. Like, hey, son, if you got this woman and she whore on you, no one says like, hey, don't get emotional. Don't hit her. We understand that rage, because sometimes some brothers invest a lot of time into these women. They invest a lot of years, and they may not be too willing to just let that slide right from grip to their hands so easily. You know, they got some men, right? Will see the woman disrespecting them in public, and they'll let them disrespect it. Be like, yeah, this broad got to walk home. You know, some men just be like, you know, but since you disrespect me in public, you can go ahead and walk home. Like, I be watching these little reels, and they be these little kids, content creators, and they'd be very disrespectful, but they do it for content. They'll approach a couple, man and a woman, and they'll try to give like the woman flowers. Some guys will knock the flowers out dude's hand. And then one guy, he saw his woman take the flower, like, hey, who is he? And he'd be like, oh, that's you? No sweat, you walk on. Some guys just handle certain things different. You know, some guys will be like, hey, I can't let you, if my woman gonna disrespect me like that in public, then you can have her. Not all men gonna operate like that. Some men gonna come fight for what they got. And the ones that choose to fight and they chose violence, could you blame him for him trying to protect his investment? Like I said, some men invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of love into these women or into their family. Let's just put it like that. And he's gonna be that lion trying to protect his territory. And he's not gonna let some stranger come hand her flowers talking about you look good. Because if it was me and someone hand her flowers, I'm looking at her like, I don't know, is she cheating on me? Who is this guy? Is this a prank? Who is this? And if she accept the flowers, she might as well go ahead and walk home. Yeah, oh, that's your nigga? You go ahead and walk home. And matter of fact, don't even come home. And we had that mother looking like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. All right. So I ain't want to really deviate too much, but like, yeah, about what Master said and do. Because that's what we got going on. Like, yeah, like we can't be playing these type of games. People invest a lot of time into like their relationships, and they don't be willing to let go. Have you ever wondered why so many women will like get mad at their boyfriend for cheating, but not cheat herself, but she will fight him, but she won't leave him though. She be like, you got me, you playing with my time, you playing with my top. and she'll fight him, she'll assault him and be all unruly, but she won't leave. She'll be like, I done invested too much time in you to let someone else just get you. I done had bad before and I found something good. I got to keep you, even though you're being bad. You understand? So people, when it comes to like these relationships and stuff with mental health, the point I'm bringing out is that you got to be, some of us aren't as strong as we need to be, or when certain problems come around. All I would say is if I ever was to get a problem, I will hope and pray that I will have the strength to handle that problem amicably. You know what I'm saying? Something that wouldn't stain the reputation of the UPK or something that won't put me in a lot of trouble. You understand? Something that I can easily be like, you know what? I can be petty. I'm just gonna leave this alone. I can still state my piece and give amount of verbal slander without me being like totally disrespected in a matter. Like you can't just disrespect me and I just take it and I don't say nothing. You understand? But I have learned this when people disrespect you. Primarily, I'm talking about relationships now. Oh, when they get disrespected and get the loudmouth, when you ignore a woman, oh, that makes them want you more. I don't understand that. Maybe because they can't have what they want, or they got detachment issues. Who the hell knows? But when you ignore a woman, they get the coming for you more. I haven't quite figured that part out just yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you did all this slander and tell me, like, why the hell you keep talking about me? Like, damn, leave me alone. But that's just something I digress on. But I'm gonna get back to the top of the class. But we were just talking about the New Year's Day. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get this article up. Shuck, 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 shuck. Concept women are a mystery. Man, I'm inclined to agree with you on the women being a mystery. I'm gonna just say they are headache. I mean, or man, they can be peculiar for sure. Like they can be understandable, but man, it takes a lot of. I give you some real quick. And this was some of the game that was given to me in a nutshell. With women, what they're saying is not really what they want. You gotta really women say things they don't mean, but when they say these things, you gotta figure out what they really mean, which is truly exhausting. It's truly nauseating and exhausting sometimes. Like I remember one time a woman was saying like some women will like be angry, right? I'm gonna give an example. Do y'all anybody remember when like the baby's girlfriend was hitting on him and he called the law, the little light skinned chick? Um, if you read between those lines, she wasn't really wanting him to call the police, and she really didn't want him to hit him. She was just mad, and she wanted some TLC. She just wanted him to love on her and tell her he missed her and things gonna be okay. But she chose to act out. Basically, she wanted some attention. Women just act like children. That's what they are. They're not really that much of a mystery once you understand like a father and child dynamic or father and daughter. They're just children with the temper tantrums. That's what I'm speaking about. Because sometimes they'll say like, "Well, I didn't mean it," or "I said it because I was mad." Just like how your kids do stuff, they do stuff because they mad. That's pretty much it. They can be very, very irrational, and their emotions they run rampant with their emotions and they be out of control. I mean, my goodness. All right. So let's talk about New Year's Day. That's when this article's brought to you by Time. It says the slaves dreads New Year's Day, the worst, the grim history of January 1st. Now this is a short read. I'm not going to read all of it because I do want to play some of this video on it. So let's get to it. And of course, I bring out a few scriptures, but I mostly want to just dive into like some of this so that way you can actually start seeing how dreadful our ancestors hated slaves. This is a slave auction. You know what I'm saying? Look at how our oppressors are right here with these top hats, or big hats, and their swords. And you got like probably like a mother and daughter. Then you got another sister with her baby right here breastfeeding. This is how things work. And there go a brother in the back about to get whooped. Right there, if you can see me at that mouse. You know what I'm saying? And these are the people they want us to mate with. It says Americans are likely to think of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as a time to celebrate a fresh start that the new year represents. But there is also a troubling side to the holiday's history. In years before the Civil War, the first day of the new year was often heartbreaking one for enslaved people in the United States. So now we're going to talk about the New Year's Day. In African American communities, New Year's Day used to be widely known as Hiring Day or Heartbreak Day. As African American abolitionist journalist William Cooper Nell described it, because enslaved people spent New Year's Eve waiting, wondering if their owners were going to rent them out to someone else, thus potentially splitting up their families. The renting out of the slave labor was relatively common practice in the antebellum South, and a profitable practice white slave owners and hirers. So that right there should tell you something right there. New Year's Day was hiring day that our ancestors, our 7, 8, 9 times great parents hated. You understand? They hated this day because it didn't bring them no fruit. It didn't bring them no good labor. You understand? It says hiring day was a part of the larger economic cycle in which most debts were collected and settled on New Year's Day. And, according by Alexis McCarson, an expert on the history of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, a professor of history at Southern Methodist University who writes the hiring day in her forthcoming book. Some enslaved people were put up for auction on that day and held under contracts that started in January. These transactions also took place all year long, and contracts could last for different amounts of time. The deals were conducted privately amongst families and friends and business contracts, and slaves were handed over in town square, on courthouse steps, and sometimes simply on the side of the road. Somebody play this video.
Black History Month is important, not only because in its earliest days, it was an acknowledgement of the contributions of Black people to American democracy. But even over the last 40 years, when it went from a week to a month, it has become increasingly important to explaining how the nation became a nation that is multiracial. None of what we call civil rights today makes sense without understanding Black history. Civil rights means that you are fighting for or acknowledging the basic guarantees that every individual protected by the Constitution is entitled to. Since President Trump was elected in 2016, the broadest definitions of civil rights have been challenged. We've seen instances of swastikas being sprayed on the sides of buildings in liberal cities around America, or nooses hanging on coworkers' desks. While it's hard to draw a direct line from the president to all of this behavior, we certainly can draw a dotted line. And in that sense, he has not used the power of his office or the power of the pulpit to define an America that is free of racial hatred, but in fact has excused much racial hatred as a kind of, they get to behave this way too. One of the things I think is important about both looking at this as a moment that says we still have work to do, even for people who are self-defined liberals and Democrats, is to be more honest about their own.
Just a sidebar real quick. Why is it that out of so many years of experience of things never really working out for us in this country, why do they still want to join? When does the definition of insanity applies? When does the definition of insanity kicks in? None of them ever truly talks about what really happens. Or when they do talk about it, they make it seem like they can be forgiven. They don't be like how the top hats be like towards the Germans. They don't be like, you know what? Nah, we just can't fool with you. Y'all are liars. We're gonna take this little land that we live at, but we're gonna give it to ourselves. We're gonna invest in ourselves. Since we live amongst y'all, we'll pay these funky taxes. But we want an all-black community. We don't want none of your stanky drugs. We don't want none of your, the things you offer us that be downtrodden. We don't want your gentrification. We don't want your alcohol stores on every corner. Like, we don't want your influence on us anymore. So we can be purebred people living in this country and still be productive, like how the Asians do, like how some of them stanky Africans do, the Hamites do. You understand? I'm gonna keep playing a little bit more.
Coming of age in a racist country. Be honest about the fact that when a blackface image of you shows up on your yearbook page, whether it's you or not, which is unbelievable, but putting that aside, that your fellow...
Look at that right there, blackface in a damn yearbook. That's crazy. The amount of compassion we have and as in our people, and became such a good slave. We were such a good slave to massa, and he still found a way to mistreat someone who's been nothing but kind and loved him and take his abuse. That day is going to come to an end. That day is going to come to an end, and I'll be thankful when the Lord finally gives that order for our enemies to be vanquished. Salaki.
Students thought it was funny and interesting. The editors of the book thought it was okay to publish, and the school thought it was okay to publish. And until we can have that conversation about the consumption of racism, then we're not going to see the fast or hard break from the past that keeps popping up. Sometimes people express frustration.
And then this right here is some of the stuff they're expressing about like the years. This is 2018. So this right here just goes to show that they're still on this type of time. They still on this type of time. This type of time ain't going nowhere. So like.
And that no matter how much information you share with someone and how compelling your set of arguments are and what you point them to read, they still don't change. They still don't believe.
You know what? And that's what he said, something very interesting. He says, no matter how many times you point out how cruel, Salaki, no matter how many times you point out how cruel they are or what type of, how you articulate yourself in the arguments that you make, they still don't care. There's a reason for that in the scriptures. Because his hatred. Go to Ezekiel 35:5. So let me pull that scripture real quick. Ezekiel 35:5. So real quick. Right here, Ezekiel 35:5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. And this is why we can't never come together with this beast. And that man, this brother in here said some hit on point.
The fast or hard break from the past that keeps popping up. Sometimes people express frustration that no matter how much information you share with someone and how compelling your set of arguments are and what you point them to read, they still don't change. They still don't believe white privilege is real. And I would say that while you still have to press forward, you have to make the case, you may not win those arguments, the real opportunity for us starts with our kindergartners. We can't make the assumption that 5-year-olds are colorblind. Because children see difference in the world. And if we leave them on their own to fill in the blanks, they're going to learn from society. They're going to pick up all the cultural cues that exist in our world. So we have to be intentional, but we also could be more deliberate about what we teach them in class. If you ask children of elementary age, who are the most famous Americans who are not presidents, the two most commonly cited people are Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Miss Rosa Parks. What's interesting is that I would say if you could pick two people to completely rewrite the story of, they are the perfect candidates because their familiarity already over-indexes for the kind of...
And notice why the ones they promote is the ones they promote like who is really like no physical threat to our oppressor. You know, they push banding together, or you just not getting up when you sit down. Notice how they won't really talk about your Nat Turners like your Denmark Vessies, or you know the Kyle Lowry, the Lowry gang. They won't speak of these individuals because these individuals, like you know what, they defended themselves. When they do bring up Martin Luther King, they don't bring up the one thing he did do that he should have continued to do to really put a crutch into our oppressors when he did the Montgomery bus boycott. You know, Martin Luther King birthday coming up soon. I'll teach a class on that. He sure did talk about the Montgomery boycott, and that's what really upset our oppressors' pockets financially. That's one of the ways you battle him. You hit his pockets, or he come crumbling down. Mr. Lockett.
Superficial history that we're teaching our children, the kind of Black History Month bulletin board of which they become prominent figures. Both of them are literally like 180 degrees more complicated and quite different than we like to remember them. The hope for me is that if we can take on that work together, if we can be serious about changing what we teach our kids, then we can expect different adults. And if we get different adults, then they'll understand and be more vigilant about not repeating the mistakes of the past.
Okay. Yeah. That's what it is. A perfect hatred. You understand? And that's what we got with our oppressors. Salakia. Okay. So next I want to get into, I think I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 28 and 15. Let me see if that's what the one I want. So I pull this scripture up. I have another video I want to bring out. I was talking to y'all about the historical legacy of the night watch, and why people be doing so much celebration, right? So here it is. Got let me switch this around. Of course, you know when I teach class, I like to bring out some pictures. This is the historical legacy of Night Watch. All right, we got to read it to what it is. This is people now taking it to like the customs of them want to celebrate New Year's. All right, so this is when I read a quote from Frederick Douglass. It says, "It is a day for poetry and song, a new song. These cloudless skies, this balmy air, this brilliant sunshine are in harmony with a glorious morning of liberty about to dawn upon us. I would say sell out Frederick Douglass, but this is oppressive described as blackface Frederick Douglass. He just looked black, but he was actually a Caucasian man. It says on the night of December 31st in 1862, enslaved and free African Americans gathered, many in secret, to ring in the new year and await news that the Emancipation Proclamation had taken effect. Just a few months earlier, on September 22nd, 1862, Abraham issued an executive order that declared enslaved people in rebellion Confederate states legally free. However, the decree would not take effect until the clock struck midnight at the start of the new year. So now you see why some slaves, mind you, we just talked about hiring day. Now we're going to talk about night watch because some were celebrating the day that they get freed from their slave owner. All right. It says the occasion was known as Watch Night or Freedom's Eve. Marks when African Americans across the country watched and waited for the news of freedom. Today, Watch Night is an annual New Year's Eve tradition that includes the memories of slaves and freedom. Our president don't think that because none of y'all knew that. None of y'all knew that the Proclamation of Emancipation by the President of the United States takes effect on January 1st, 1863. None of y'all knew that. So don't even say you were celebrating for Watch Night or Freedom's Eve. Y'all out here just getting drunk just cause. None of y'all knew this, so don't even say it. But it's something our oppressor was doing. It is the Proclamation of Emancipation by President of the United States to take effect on January 1st, 1863. It says, Watch night service is rooted in African American religious traditions. During the first night watch, many enslaved Africans gathered to pray, worship, sing, and dance. At the time, enslaved Black people could find little respite from even present surveillance. Even practicing their faith, white enslavers feared that religion, which was often used to quell slave resistance, could incite the exact opposite if practiced without observance. They wrote laws that restricted worship in large gatherings, such as the 1848 Georgia Slave Code, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. Here's a brief summary of the Georgia Slave Code. No person of color shall be allowed to preach, to exhort, or to join in any religious exercise with any persons of color, either free or slave, there being more than 7 persons of color present. Couldn't be more than 7 present. This is some says waiting for the hour, watch meeting December 31st, 1862. It says, despite these laws, enslaved people sought to exercise their own religious customs, including Christianity, Islam, indigenous faith practices, reflects of homes in which they were stolen. They convened at praise houses on plantations and secretly gatherings in woods where they practiced their faith under the protection cover of the trees and bushes of what became known as hush harbors. So let me this is Black Codes. I got this video up. I'm just playing a little video about the Black Codes real quick.
Meeting for the Atlanta chapter. And I learned a lot even with all the research that I've done over the years, you can always learn more. They had 3 presenters, all were wonderful, but one shared with us a book called The Black Codes in Georgia. While I had heard that there were some very interesting laws for Black people back in the day, it was something to see right in our faces. So I'll read a statute from 1755. It says, all Negroes, Indians, mulattoes, and mestizos, except those already free, who now are or shall hereafter be in this province, and their issue or offspring born or to be born, are hereby declared to be and remain forever after absolute slaves. Follow the legal condition of the mother and not the father, deemed in law personal chattels. Can sue for freedom. Guardian must file suit. As property slaves and free people of color have no legal standings. Burden of proof is on the plaintiff, the slave. Isn't that
All right, so there's just a little side note I wanted to bring out about this. And so let's click on this real quick. Slave Codes of the state of Georgia by racism.org. This is something you can go in and click on yourself. You got capital crimes was punishable by death. When punished by death or at a discretion of the court, that's how they choose to punish people. We talking about Augusta, Georgia. Which we already gave you the precursor about 7 or more. Right here, let's see, section 2, minor offenses. It says punishment for teaching slaves or free persons of color to read. Punishment for free persons of color trading with slaves. Punishment for harboring the slaves. This one's funny. Number 19. It says slaves given information of designs to poison, how rewarded. It's funny. Number 21, punishment of slaves for teaching others to poison. Punishment of slaves for deleting, marking, and branding cows. These are what they was called minor offenses. Let's go up to the first one. Capital offenses, punishment for circulating incendiary documents. Punishment for free persons of color inveigling slaves. It says when the striking of a white person is justifiable. It says you got punishment for striking a white person. So these are some of the Georgia slave codes. All right, let's figure out, just bring that out. So let's go into a scripture real quick. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. It's like that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. It's like it. Verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. That's us in this city. That's us in this field. These are just some of the curses. You understand? Verse 20, verse 17. Cursed shall thou be in the basket and thy store. We fit all these curses, never that top hat. Never that top hat. Verse 28. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kin and the flocks of thy sheep. Just never fix that top hat over there. Verse 19. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed thou shalt be when thou goest out. No matter where we go, you saw how it was in that field, how they had to sneak off just to be around. So I got another video real quick. Let me load this up.
Poems and dance, also holding watch night services. African American churches and African American families won't only be gathering to celebrate bringing in a new year, they'll also be ready to celebrate a tradition rooted in freedom.
Before the church was built, was nothing but bushes. And I used to think, I said, well, how in the world could they have a church built like this?
Bush Harbor is a scenario for a type of church.
Look at these bush harbors where they used to sneak off just to get a little bit of reprieve. Boy, I tell you, our presence the devil that the Bible speaks of.
The only Bush Harbor. Yeah, apparently they were the early churches. Yeah. The very first ones were called Bush Harbor.
The narrator on this Mount Zion AME Church video is talking about the very first African American churches made by slaves out of brush and trees, where they secretly praised and worshiped God. They weren't allowed to practice religion, but they did through songs, poems, and dance, also holding watch night services, awaiting the adoption of the Emancipation Proclamation, which would take effect on January 1st, 1863.
It was pretty much outdoor sanctuary in the woods. And to my understanding, they would have blankets, wet blankets, I believe, blankets around in the woods to capture the sound so that the slave owners and people would not hear them. It's called hush, because they would have poems, singing and praising God and all that. So
Pastor Victor Cole of Mount Zion AME Church says on watch night, enslaved and free Black Americans watched and prayed because at midnight, the proclamation became official. It declared freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states, a monumental, though incomplete step towards liberation. Jacksonville native Sandra Maureen recalls attending a traditional watch night service as a child, where church members paid their respects to those who passed away that calendar year.
As a child, there was always the deacons who stood on the four corners of the church with usually black suits and white gloves, and they made it a very formal ceremony of calling the names out of the deceased from that year, moving into the next year, and it was a calling of the ancestors.
The emancipation didn't immediately reach all enslaved people, with those in Texas not hearing the news until June 19, 1865, now commemorated as Juneteenth. The tradition remains a vital bridge connecting generations to the struggle for liberation and the power.
So, amongst Black people, or why they celebrated January 1st was because they was getting free based on that letter. Based on that law coming to effect. The average Black person today did not know of this. They only celebrate New Year's because our oppressor celebrates because he wants to get drunk and high and woohoo for the new year. But for those slaves, they was only celebrating because they're now supposed to be getting freed.
Power of faith and community.
We could not celebrate Juneteenth openly in the city of Jacksonville. And now to be able to celebrate Juneteenth in Jacksonville in the way that we do it has been so important, because there's only been a few people that's carried the tradition of Juneteenth on, which brings it into the holiday that it is today.
Black Christians say the same spirit that carried African Americans through slavery, Jim Crow, and civil rights marches shows up every watch night, a reminder that freedom was fought for and it's still worth protecting.
All right. So let me get a little bit more. So now I want to talk about something real quick. A little bit more on the slave code. I'll play this real quick.
To Savannah.
That is my new.
Took the kids on the tour of the Great South
Underground Railroad.
So this is me and Chloe. Carlette had to work.
Yeah.
I took the day off, and so we went to on the Black tour, and did some stuff.
Yeah.
They couldn't do some stuff because they was in chains. But yeah, so this is like some of the, oh Lord, hold on. Boop. Okay, there we go. Blanket. This is an interesting blanket.
Yes, quilt.
This quilt, a quilt blanket. It had see, back in the day, the slaves used to talk in code, and so a lot of these blocks that you see there, that's like almost kind of what they call hieroglyphics, but it's little codes that they would flash and symbols, telling everybody what to do. But we're going to get into that a little.
I teach another class about like the codes. All right. So I brought up there's just things about eating black-eyed peas that's a tradition. I'm finna bring this video up real quick of people doing this nonsense. So you got people that are going to be eating black-eyed peas and collard greens. And I'm just reading a little article on here. Share this. Oh, shucks. Oops. Hold up. I'm gonna talk on it. I just had it. Crud. So like 1 second. I had just found a little small one, did a little talking. There we go. Is it eating black-eyed peas on New Year's Day is a long-standing tradition believed to bring good luck and prosperity for the coming year. It says black-eyed peas have been associated with good luck in Southern traditions for centuries. This practice is rooted in African culinary customs that has become a staple in the Southern United States, particularly during New Year's celebrations. The consumption of black-eyed peas is often accompanied by collard greens, which symbolizes due to their green color resembling money. I forgot, what's the one with cornbread? Uh, it was a whole thing for like green beans. It was like black-eyed peas was supposed to be the corns, the greens supposed to be the money, the cornbread's for gold. Okay, let me click on this one. Bear with me 1 second. Let me pull up the. Let me go back. Okay. It's a whole little thing about this whole nonsense. And they're supposed to, I found an article just supposed to apparently break the whole thing down. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing with black eyed peas. Peas supposed to be the coins. The green's supposed to be like the money. And then the cornbread for gold because of the supposed to be for food. I tried to find it. I had it earlier. I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, just type it in real quick. Let's see, just said. No, where's the doggone it? But that's pretty much it. Okay, preparation. Right here, preparation in recipes. Let me share this one right here. Here we go. It says to partake in this tradition, many families prepare dishes like Hoppin' John's, which combines black eyed peas with rice and often includes pork flavor, nasty swine. The meal is typically served with collard greens and cornbread, where the peas represent coins and the green symbolizes paper money. Some traditions even involve placing a coin in a pot of peas with the person who finds it believed to receive extra luck for that year. It's supposed to be for gold. Let me type it in. Cornbread for gold. Here we go. It says the tradition of eating black eyed peas and cornbread on New Year's Day deeply rooted in the South culture. Black eyed peas are to bring good luck, symbolizing coins or pennies, while cornbread represent gold in abundance. The combination of these foods forms a lucky plate that is a staple in many Southern households in New Year's. The origin of the tradition can be traced to the African culinary practice and historical context in the South. These foods were affordable, nutritious, and easy to prepare. And then that's why I also got the collard greens for the money. All right, so this pretty much what that I wanted to bring out. Oh. All right, so yes, this was it, pretty much it I wanted to bring out. So now, do I need to bring out Amos 5 and 21? I might as well just end it with that. Because this is something we're going to have to constantly be reminding our people of, not to play with the Most High. I end the class with this one. This is Amos. Hold up. Oh, there we go. This is the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days. I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. The Most High don't care about you eating green, you eating black eyed peas and cornbread and collard greens. Talking about you about to get some damn money because it's the new year, the new day. our oppressor's new year, his new day. Let's not anger the Most High because he hates these days that you're celebrating. The Most High don't give a damn about you eating cornbread. He don't give a damn about you eating black-eyed peas and collard greens. And he hates it because you're adding swine to it. But for the fact you're going to eat some black-eyed peas and say you're going to get some corns, eat some greens because you're going to get some money, eat cornbread because you get gold, you're playing with the Most High. And he hates and despises these feast days. Israel, we got to stop playing games. We got to let go of our oppressor's tradition. It's one thing to talk about watch night. And hey, they got freed on this day. And you want to try to commemorate, find a different day. Juneteenth is one thing to come together and say, hey, this is going to be a tradition. Well, we'll say that we got a little bit of relief from our oppressor, but we cannot partake into his lifestyle. We got to separate ourselves from our oppressor and who we got our love to. All right, so with that, I'm Priest and Officer Daraki of the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohana. That's my time. Shalom, Israel. And also, stay tuned. I'll be breaking down more history about MLK. I got more videos. And if you got anything want me to break down to you about history or any question on it, just type it in the chat and I'll always get back with you. Shalom.